Hello, welcome to another stream. How about that? How about that? Hello, Mr. Botka, some random dev, Sasalala, Mr. Botka, loading BG, Aiguduk, Const. Hey, it's LGG. Hello, welcome. So today is Sunday, and that means today, according to the schedule, we're supposed to be doing a game development in C++. You can find the source code of the game that we'll be developing here in the chat, and yeah, let's just jump into it. It's just something. It's some sort of a game that we've been developing for quite some time, and I don't know how is it going. Maybe it's going quite well. Maybe we never will finish the development. We'll see. So let me see what we have here. So let's run origin and let me merge everything. Origin master. Everything is already merged. Don't we have any pull requests to actually merge before we start? Something. No, we have everything merged. Would you look at that? Okay, so I'm gonna rebuild everything from scratch just in case. So something debug. Okay. So, and let's take a look at the game. So, yeah, this is how I forgot that we changed to Sodin Pog. Yeah, and you can actually shoot it. I completely forgot how it looks like. Yes, this is so cool. Yes, you can just do that. Yeah, this is the game right now. And yeah, that's pretty cool. It's a Sodin Pog. And we also have something like wave attack. Right, it's not supposed to be used by the player, but yeah, player can use it because we need that for testing purposes. Hello, Hilton Pots, welcome to the stream. Yeah, so this is the game. Hello, Crazy Pedro, thank you for the raid. Alright, so yeah, I'm just waiting for my tea actually. I don't know, for some reason it takes so much time to warm up my water for my tea. But yeah, today we're gonna continue developing this game, essentially we're gonna continue developing this game, and soon it will be available on Steam, and we're gonna make a shit ton of money by selling this game for free. That's right, that's the plan, sell this game for free and make a lot of money. Okay. Enemies don't have their weapons rendered, so yeah, here's the thing. The player does have its weapon rendered, right? But the enemies don't. And if I create an enemy, right, so here's an enemy. The enemy can shoot me, but it doesn't have any, any weapon. Yeah, that's really funny. Okay, so let me quickly go to the kitchen, pour some hot water, and I'm gonna be back. Fuck. Alright. Alright, so, yeah. We need to make enemies render their weapons. I wish I could wake up properly. For some reason I cannot wake up, even though I woke up like 5 hours ago, maybe even more. But right now I'm extremely sleepy for some reason, so I have no idea why. Do you know Carlson game? No. So, let's find out why the fuck the weapons are not rendered for the enemies, right? While I'm trying to wake up. It's really hard. So I'm trying to wake up for like 5 hours already. Still didn't manage to do that. So what I need to find the game object, right? So here's the game object. And let's find the render function. So the render function renders everything. Okay, so here's we rendering the weapon of the player. So the player is an entity, right? The player is an entity, and we just render its weapon. Nothing particularly special, nothing particularly fancy. So I suppose we can do a similar thing here. Oh, what's interesting is that if we're gonna iterate through all of the entities, right, and for the alive entities we're gonna render the current weapons, we might as well get rid of this entire code in here. Let's actually see what's gonna happen. So enemies of set. So we render them. Oh yeah, this one is interesting. So if they are in a different room, they have to be dimmed. Yeah, they have to be dimmed, but only if they are enemies. This is a really interesting logic. Like, why is it like that? But anyway. Oh, by the way, here's the interesting question. Why the fuck the weapon is not rendered by the entity itself? I saw a name of a file who's triggering lol. What the hell is going on? So yeah, it feels like the entities themselves should render the weapon. Right, so let's actually go somewhere here and let me find the rendering of the entities. And I didn't really see the rendering of the entities, which is, yeah, here it is. So we render the particles, then depending on the state of the entity, depending on the state. Fuck. I don't know what it was, but it was something outside. Ooh. I have no idea what it was. Yeah. Yeah, Slav PLS shit. Nuclear war, yeah. Holy shit. That never happened before, actually. Like, I hear something like that for the first time. So, yeah, I have no idea. Jesus fucking Christ. People are the worst, seriously. Like, why people do that? Like, holy shit. Okay, so we need to concentrate. We need to concentrate on what we need to do. So we render in the character, and the next thing we can do, we can try to render the weapon, right? So that's the next thing we do. But first we need to get the current weapon, right? So where is the function get current weapon? So yeah, that's pretty straightforward. So yeah, it's gonna be weapon. I might as well actually do auto. I mean, I'm programming in C++, and in C++ we have auto, right? Which is actually useful. C also has auto, by the way, but it's useless. This one has auto, and it's useful. So, and if weapon is not null, we can just straight up render that weapon. Hopefully, we'll see. So what we have to do here, we have to just, you know, render. The fuck is going on? I literally have no idea. Like, what the fuck? So am I literally getting swatted? Panapudi, welcome. How are you doing? Hello. So, and I have to provide the game if I want to render the weapon, and also I need to provide the current entity index. What's funny is that I think entities do not know their own indices. I think that's the thing. Unfortunately, so the entity itself doesn't really know its own index, which is kind of sus, but it is what it is. Finally, I have a cup of tea, and it's brewed perfectly. Somehow I managed to brew this cup of tea absolutely perfectly. Sometimes it happens, but yeah, it's really strange. Okay, so yeah, I think we do have a reference to the game. We actually don't have a reference to the game if we want to render. Yeah, I think I'm starting to understand why I don't render weapon inside of the player, because weapon requires too many things to render, unfortunately. So maybe we shouldn't do that then. Maybe it's not for that. So let's try to do that the other way. So that means we'll have to get the current weapon, right? Get the current weapon of the entity, like this. So I get current weapon, and only if weapon was not equal null, we should try to render that specific weapon. We should try to render that specific weapon. So let me quickly try to do that. So the index in this case is going to be I. And I wonder, I don't remember, to be fair, can you dim the weapon when you render it? So when I'm rendering the weapon, I can provide a shade. Yes, I am in fact able to provide a shade. So here is the thing. So that means I can copy paste this entire thing in here. And when I'm rendering it like that, I can just provide the shade. Cool. And another thing, this is when the enemies are in a room, right? They can be outside of the room. When they're outside of the room, we shouldn't dim them ever. So it should be similar to just doing something like this, right? It should be like very much similar to something like this. Jae-young! Oh my god, welcome to the stream, the master of Linux kernel. Hello, really glad to see you. You're still building Linux. Yes. By the way, what is the favorite distro of your professor of that course? Is it Gentoo? So yeah, because this is what a Gentoo course feels like. The professor. Oh, he uses Windows. I see. Interesting. Yeah. I'm trying to wake up. I still cannot wake up. And the way I'm trying to wake up is by copy-pasting code around. So that's how I do that. I already copy-pasted 3 pieces of code. Yeah. Is he also building Windows kernels? I mean, recently Windows XP source code got leaked, so maybe technically you can try to build Windows kernel. By the way, has anybody ever tried to build this source code like of Windows XP, or is it not buildable outside of the Microsoft infrastructure? I could imagine that's absolutely not buildable outside of Microsoft infrastructure. I was building Windows kernel on stream. Sodin! What's up, Jian? What's up? Wake up. I'm trying to wake up, I cannot. Even nuclear war behind my window cannot wake me up. Yeah, well, we have really weird sounds coming up from the outside, and even that cannot wake me up. I'm sorry. All right, so yeah, it's really bright today. Is if weapon legal C++? Yes, it is. Hello, Once Life Left. Hello. So basically, yeah. So you're suggesting to change to something like this? I think it's gonna be legal C++, but I like to be a little bit more explicit. Yeah. I think they didn't ditch that in C++, so they left it from C. as far as I know, you can even, like, for a particular class, if you have a particular class, like foo, you can overload an operator. I think, I forgot how you do that, right? So, operator something like int or something, and basically it will be called when you try to use the instance of the object in a context of if, right? So something like implicit conversion operator. So your object can be converted to a boolean or to an integer or to a point. So you can even control these kind of situations. I think it's called like implicit conversion operator or whatever. I do know that something like if stream have this overloaded. So you can just use if stream to check whether you reach the end of the if stream. So let me see how they do that. Oh, operator. Yeah, operator boolean, I think. But it's it's starting from C++11. Yeah, this is how we do that essentially. So yeah, so you overload it like that. You never use that? Well, it's a pretty interesting feature of C++ that I personally never use. But yeah, I used it once when I was, programming a lot in C++ in the idiomatic C++. Not in the weird C/C++ I program these days, but in something like this, using STL and stuff. I kind of miss those days. I kind of want to program, I kind of want to have an opportunity to program like in an idiomatic C++ with classes, constructors, virtual methods, destructors and stuff like that, even though it's probably, slower than just in a C style, but it's kind of interesting for intellectual masturbation purposes. You know what I mean? It would be kind of cool. Okay. So maybe there should be like a template command that accepts this parameter as the argument, right? So yeah. Okay, what do we have? Let me rebuild everything, by the way. Something debug. Okay, so now I'm gonna do something debug, and here's the game. I can do pew 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 pew. Maybe I can also do pew 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 pew. Okay, cool. So let's go somewhere. So the look and feel of the game is not final, by the way. Oh yeah, and now it also has the weapon. Yes. And look at that, weapon is dimmed, right? So the enemy is in a different room, and yeah, so their weapon is dimmed. So everything is working correctly. So that's actually perfect. I like that. So, but that was achieved by copy-pasting shit ton of code, and in my opinion, that's not an ideal solution. That's very much, and I died in my own game. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm really good at my own game chat. Cheers. So the thing is, how can we simplify this copy-paste that I introduced? How can we simplify that copy-paste? So essentially the only reason why we check for this thingy is to whether provide the special shade or not provide the special shade. What I'm thinking is that what if we introduce, so here's the original code, and let's see how much of the code we'll be able to compress. So I'm gonna introduce RGBA, and I'm gonna call it a shade. Alright. If username Tsoding will die, don't die. Yeah. That's a good code. Okay, so here's my condition. And I'm you know what? I'm gonna initially initialize it with 0 initialization. So and if this condition is true, right, we're gonna set the shade to room neighbor dim color. That's it. And now I'm pretty sure the only thing I need to do now, right, is something like this. There we go. So I managed to replace this thing with just this. Did it become better? Arguably, but I mean, at least I don't copy-paste this piece of code anymore, so now I managed to compress it into a single piece of code. So yeah, maybe it became better. On top of that, let's actually see if it still behaves the same, if it still produces the results that we expect here. So it's gonna be something debug, and here you go. And it doesn't even compile. Would you look at that? In expansion of macro. Oh yeah, this is because I marked that variable as const, and that was a very dumb idea. Yeah, so I should have not marked it as const. Alright, so let's spawn an enemy, and an enemy, okay, nice. So that means I fucked up the condition, so I think it should be something like opposite. It should be opposite logic, if you know what I mean. It just has to be. Reminds me of Noita. I have no idea what that is. Noita. Is that some sort of an indie game that I never heard about? Oh, it looks nice. I really like how it looks like. Never played it. But keep in mind that the look and feel of the game is not final here, right? It's just a programmer's art. It's just a programmer that I just found some garbage on the internet and I just put it together really quickly just to test, just to have something on the screen. So it's gonna look completely different. Okay, so here is the stuff, and okay, this one is interesting. It doesn't properly dim. Huh. Alright, so I think I kinda know what's wrong in here. Yeah, boy. Alright, so basically we managed to replace this piece of code with this simple piece of code, and let's just go ahead and remove it. I think it became better. I think it became more manageable, you know? The quality of code has been increased. Yes, everyone is talking about a mythical quality of code, and I'm here actually increasing it. Oh my god, Class 232 subscribed to Tier 1. Thank you so much for your subscription, and welcome to our Epic Game Development Club. How about that? How about that? Alright. What do we got? So essentially, we have a duplicate in a loop. So here's like a big condition in here. You know, just a big condition, and we have a little bit of a duplicate here. So yeah, and we pretty much do the same thing. So the only differences here is that we don't have any conditions in here, and we always dim everything. So what I'm thinking, what if we move this logic? Into this condition, and just get rid of the else branch. You know what I mean? So essentially, we should be able to convert this entire thing, like we should be able to get rid of this condition completely, right? And just add something like this, like maybe, so if not lock, we should always dim, meaning that not lock, or if it's inside of lock. So yeah, if I understand correctly, we should be able to just squash this logic like that. So lock means that we have some sort of a lock currently. Yeah, so we have a lock inside of the camera, and if we don't have it, don't even try to do anything here, always dim. So yeah, that's actually a way better solution. Okay, so let's see if it's gonna work now. We're rebuilding everything, of course. Okay, let me spawn. Interesting, that didn't work, and that straight up segfaulted. Isn't that amazing? I think it's goddamn amazing. So, how do we even use that then? So, lock ABS. Ah, I see. So we actually have to do this thing, right? Yeah, this is a little bit more complicated apparently. Okay. Apparently a little bit more complicated than I thought. But that's really strange. Right. Okay, I see. So this is too complicated, so I'll probably have to back up. So yeah, I tried, I failed, I understand, so let's try to recompile it back and hope that maybe it will not segfold anymore. So let's go. Yeah, so it doesn't segfold anymore. Let me create an enemy here. Enemy is completely dimmed, not dipped. And yes, oh, what's funny is that, yeah, dead enemies still draw their weapons. So, and this is something I was talking about. I think, yeah, we shouldn't draw enemies of a dead, like weapons of dead enemies, and that's why the rendering of the weapon should be inside of the entity. But I didn't do that for some reason. I really want to squash this condition. I feel like it should be possible to squash this condition, but it makes it kind of difficult. So, yeah. Maybe I shouldn't try that. And interesting question. Like, do we really need to separate this kind of stuff? Maybe not. Alright. So, and also before trying to render this entire stuff, here's let's do a simple trick. Weapon is not null and entity's state equal entity state alive. Right. So basically, we're gonna always try to check that the entity is alive before trying to render it. And copy-pasting this kind of stuff is actually a pretty bad sign, because what if the logic changes? I will have to change that in all of the places where we need to render all of that. So again, we have a lot of duplication in our nation, but that's something that we do. So I was not declared. Okay, this is because I wanted this index. Chat, why are you dead? I made only one mistake. Okay. I made a small mistake and I couldn't actually squash this if else, but it doesn't mean that you have to become dead. Why do you punish me so much? I'm sorry. I do understand that I'm not good of a developer, but... alright. I'm joking. Yes, it's kind of funny, like, every time I like slightly fuck up with my, with my solution, chat becomes instantly dead and I drop like 20 viewers. It's just like so funny, like, what? I just make a small mistake while doing things, and there you go, no, you fucking bad developer, go fuck yourself. Yeah, so essentially I'm not allowed to make mistakes. It is what it is, chat, and it isn't what it isn't. I wonder if viewers leave because chat is dead. Maybe they're somehow, like, connected. So... Okay, so unfortunately it's kind of difficult to move a rendering of the weapon inside of the entity, precisely because the entity needs to know its index, but unfortunately the entities do not know their indices, which is kind of sad, not gonna lie. So it is in fact kind of sad. So we need to understand, why do I need to pass so much information to the weapon, right? So let me go in here, and when I'm rendering, yes, so essentially, here it is. Here it fucking is. So why do I need to do that? Weapon CPP, and when I'm rendering, so I'm using the game for what? I'm using the game for actually checking the other stuff. Okay, so weapon to be able to be rendered needs to yeah, it needs the camera, it needs some other stuff. So the camera, for example, something like a renderer could have been part of the camera and whatnot. Alright. So yes. Okay, so the game is used for this kind of stuff. Okay, so in a placer, the game is used to actually know where to place things. And entity index, where do we use entity index? We use it to actually find the entity itself, and also check whether you can place this kind of stuff. I see. So we might as well actually do a very interesting trick, and just when we render the entity, just pass all of that information for the weapon, because why not? Why not just do that? Why not just do that? So entity.h, I'm trying to find entity.hpp. So I already accept a camera, I already accept renderer, and to be fair, do I not have the renderer? Where do I keep the renderer? Okay, renderer is here. So, and maybe I'm gonna just do the following thing, I'm gonna accept the game, so the whole game. It feels like at any point, I always need to have an access to the whole game. That's what it feels like, right? Right, so any sort of class at any point needs to be able to just straight up go to the game and just do something with it, because, yeah, that's what it needs to do. Because the objects are located within the game, right, they are within the game, so the game has to be some sort of a global thing. And maybe that's... And I'm starting to notice that, so this is not the first, like, game where I'm starting to notice that, yeah, you need like a constant access to the global state. But I always was afraid to do that, because, you know, years of enterprise like taught me that the global variable's bad. But that's exactly what you want to do here, because the complexity is so huge that, yeah, that's what you need to do. Otherwise, you're gonna introduce so much unnecessary friction. It's just insane. It's just insane how much friction you're gonna introduce at any particular point. So it feels like almost like if you're developing like a game, what you're gonna be having essentially is just a structure game. You're gonna just allocate that structure on like the static memory or maybe dynamic, whatever. But it's gonna be a global variable, right? And whatever you create in the future, right? So something like player, right? Player is gonna have methods like render, and at any point the player may want to check something within the game. Always, it always wants to check something within the game. Yes, it's almost like a database. Yeah. It's almost like a database. All this, you know, advocates of like clean code talking about like global variables bad, but never actually noticing that database is a huge fucking global variable, and that's what makes this like CRUD application so easy to develop, because yeah, you have a huge global mutable state, and yeah, everything just can at any point can access that state, and you can use that state to establish communication between different parts of your application. So it's just kind of, people don't understand sometimes what they're talking about. So yeah. It's kind of interesting. I wonder how a game that actually does like have like a global game look like. Is it? Does it quickly become a mess or does it not? And what's funny is that, yeah, the game itself should probably have the player, have an instance of the player, and the player should be able to access itself at any point, right? So by doing something like that, the player essentially accesses itself. You know what I mean? And you want to be able to do this kind of stuff. Or maybe, to be fair, it makes it kind of difficult to test things around, right? Because everything becomes very coupled. What if we couple things via the game itself? What if we still keep the game private to everything else by keeping it, for example, in main, right? But always pass this game as an argument, like this, right? Always pass this game as an argument. So that way you can sort of decouple things a little bit. But at the same time, you don't have to pass too many things around. Yeah, sounds like a pretty cool thing. And inside of the game, you're gonna have things like camera, right? Camera, SDL renderer, right? And at any point, if you wanna render something, you just grab the renderer and the camera from the game, so you don't have to ever pass them around all the time. You only have to pass around the game itself, right? So you just don't have to worry about that too much. So I kind of like this idea, but you're never going to have more than one game. So why do you? That's a good point, actually. One last left. It's a good point. So again, I'm not a game developer. So you're a professional game developer. I'm not. So I'm actually discovering all these patterns like myself recently. Because majority of my life I was doing like Java Enterprise with, with all of this like dependency injection bullshit and huge frameworks and stuff like that, and that completely damaged my brain, and which kind of makes it difficult for me to develop in that particular style. So that's why, yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. I'm so sorry. Yeah, don't be sorry about it. I was born in a pretty strange place, right? I needed to make money, so I took any job. So it is what it is, and it isn't what it isn't. So I never had an opportunity to even consider working at places where people program like that. Like I never even had an option, seriously. So it is what it is. Yeah. Interesting. Until I learned English. Once I learned how to speak English, I actually started to work remotely, and now I have way more opportunities. So Java destroyed this man. Fucking damn it, yes. Java destroyed me. I kind of want to develop like a small game to test this idea of just keeping the global state all the time, and if it works out well, I might as well migrate something to that particular style. That would be actually kind of cool. So the question is, what kind of game should we develop? Something complex enough where this kind of stuff would make sense. I could probably port that JavaScript to SDL, but I'm not sure how useful that is. I have a solid book. I'm sorry, I don't read books. I have a problem with focusing and reading books, so I just basically don't read them. And even if you manage to send it to me, I'm pretty sure Russian Postal Service will basically lose it in the middle of the way somewhere, so don't even worry about it. I still haven't received my Hacktoberfest t-shirt. Do you guys remember that shit show with the Hacktoberfest on GitHub? Yeah, I participated in it, and I basically submitted 4 pull requests, and yeah, I ordered the t-shirt, and it still didn't arrive. Thank you, Russian Postal Service. Very cool. I think there is an argument to be had when talking about a big game with tons of developers. Object encapsulation might have place then, but with one developer, global state, no downside. Yeah, that makes sense. Is the code on your GitHub? Yes, everything is on my GitHub. You can find everything in here. Let's actually try to develop some small game. Alright, something small with SDL and shit, and just test this idea of having like a global game thingy. And to be fair, maybe we're talking about different things, but yeah, I just want to test things out. So, alright. So C++, SDL game development. So I'm gonna change my title. So it's gonna be super quick game. I don't even know what we're gonna develop. Just something. So I'm just thinking, how should I call the game? 3GSS, I don't know. This is how I'm gonna call it. So recently I started to call all of my projects like that. It's just a random combination of letters and whatnot, and yeah. Okay. Alrighty. So main. So what we need to do here, I'm probably gonna use, SDL yet again. Right. So let's include SDL. SDL.h. I think I forgot how to do that. I think I can just do it like that. I can just include SDL.h, and that should be enough. So then I can init SDL video init. Right, and then I can do SDL quit. So let me see what's gonna happen here. So we're gonna have a make file. So and in here, what we're gonna have 3GSS is gonna main.cpp. It's gonna be cxx. Then we're gonna have cxx flags. And also we're gonna have libs against which we're gonna link everything. So in terms of flags, what we're gonna have here, we're gonna have WO, WR, no, not WR, but a W extra for sure. The standards are gonna be C++ 17. I don't have a C++ 20, and C++ 20 doesn't exist, as everyone knows. And we also want to be very pedantic about what kind of feature we're using here, I think. So maybe also disable exceptions, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. So, but I won't disable them nonetheless. So another thing we want to do is probably do a package config, C flags on SDL2, if I remember correctly. I don't remember if it's gonna work or not. So let me do it. Yeah, it does work. Beautiful. Okay. Libs, and it's gonna be package config libs SDL2, and I think that will work as well. And that seems to be working. Okay, so now if I try to build this entire stuff, let's see what's gonna happen. And so in the function start undefined reference main, that is not true. Here it is. Here is the main. Is that because it has to be what? Oh, I know. Yeah. I forgot to provide main. I forgot to actually compile it. It's so fucking dumb. So, can we actually appreciate how useless compiler message is? Instead of saying, bruh, you forgot to provide the file. It says cannot find main. Holy shit. Like, I mean, you know that I didn't provide any file. Just tell me that I didn't provide the file. Why do you make it difficult for me to... Holy shit. Like, how more obscure can you make? Yeah, it's because it has a linker step, and yeah, and we can also discuss how useful linker is in 2021. So... All right. Was not declared video. Was it init video? It was. We should look at that. It actually was. Nice. All right. So, and of course, SDL init can fail, and you know me. I like to create this stupid function that actually checks the result of SDL and crashes. Streamlink gives huge delays for me, so I watch via web. Interesting. I wonder if the delay is actually artificial and made by Twitch. Maybe they somehow detect that you're not watching via the web and basically delay it for you, something like that. They could be. They actually could be doing that. So, alright, so let's introduce something like SDL error check. So, and this thing is going to accept the code, right? Oh shit, should I use AIDS? I think I should use AIDS. For those who doesn't know, AIDS is my replacement for STD, so I have to actually mention that just in case people will misunderstand me. Right, so let's do it for that. So let's actually grab AIDS and let's go, because I think like I fill it up with pretty useful things. So yeah, I generally find it very useful. All right, so let me do this thing. And what we're gonna do here, we're gonna include aids.hpp and also using namespace aids. Okay, so if code is less than 0, what we have to do here, we have to say panic, SDL error, right, and then maybe we can do something like this, SDL error, and then we can provide SDL get error like this. Otherwise we can return the code. So yeah, and now I should be able to always wrap these things around like that every time we call SDL. So we have a special function that checks the code and crashes the whole application if something went wrong, so we don't have to do that. So yeah, as C++ had STD and now it got AIDS, so yeah. Do I still have T? Yes, I do still have T. Okay, so since we're using C++ and we can overload functions, I also like to do the following thing where I define a template function that accepts a pointer of any type, and if pointer is null pointer, right, we're also panicking, saying that there is an SDL error. SDL get error. SDL get error, and then we return the pointer. Okay, so the next thing I need to do, I need to create a window. Let me go to user include SDL. Create window. So where it is? I'm pretty sure it's somewhere. It's somewhere here. There we go. Here's the function that creates the window. Okay, so let's quickly create the window. So in this entire thing, we'll create a window, believe it or not. So it's going to be window. It's going to be const, and of course we want to check if everything is okay here. So the title is going to be 3GSSS, and the position, the initial position, is gonna be what? Well, I think we're gonna just make it 0. It's gonna be 0, 0. So width and height. Width and height is pretty interesting. So let's say screen width, and that one is gonna be screen height. So, and these gonna be the constant, the global constants. So maybe I wanna have some sort of a config.hp, right, where we're gonna have this kind of stuff. So it's gonna be int screen width, right, so like compile time values. Right, and we're gonna actually include this entire stuff. So it's gonna be just config hpp. Cool. So we can go and then go here and just modify things around. All right, and speaking of flags, so what are the flags? Flag. Oh shit! I'm sorry. So window, the only thing I want to have here is probably window resizable, so there we go. Cool, and I don't even need to check anything, it's going to be automatically checked by these two functions, cool. So let's see if all of that compiles. Make -b. So, yeah, because it has to be height, of course. And apart from that, seems to be compiling, variables not used, that's exactly what we expected, cool. Cool. Yes. So what's gonna be the next thing? We need to create the renderer afterwards, right? So we need to create the renderer. Let me grab for it. Grab rn as the create renderer. My favorite function, create renderer. So let's put this here. So it's gonna be yet another function here, and there we go. So we have to provide the window itself. Here's the window. The index, I think it has to be -1 because the index of the driver. And the flags. Let's find the flags. Here they are. And the only thing I need to provide here is probably the accelerated. Yes, it has to be accelerated in here. There we go. So I also want to wrap all of that into sec to check if any errors has happened, and there we go. Everything is okay. Everything is okay. So what I'm thinking, we need to create probably the game already, right? So we're gonna have a structured game. And inside of the game, maybe I'm gonna like literally store all of these things. I'm gonna store the pointer to SDL window. Right, so it's gonna be pointer to a window, then we're gonna have a renderer. It's gonna be also a renderer. Yeah, and essentially, as already mentioned, it could be just a global variable like this. So it's gonna be 0 initialized completely. And instead of doing these things around, let's actually straight up initialize games window and games renderer. Game renderer. There we go. So yeah, and in here we'll have to use the games window. Okay, that's very interesting. So it goes like against like everything that I was always taught, but maybe that's whatever. I mean, yeah, because I try to apply all of these best practices that I learned for like a long time to make games, and they absolutely flop. They produce such a difficult to maintain code. Basically it becomes the madness of passing arguments around, and it's not helping at all. And again, so as somebody pointed out, I think these methods of like encapsulating and not having global variables don't even work in the enterprise environment, because even in that case they have a database which is a global thing. It's like the Elm architecture, yeah. When you try to develop something more or less complex using like Elm approach, it becomes really unbearable. So these approaches like work on really small applications, but they don't scale. They really don't scale. whatever was that word supposed to mean, right? Because the word scale was so overused, it doesn't really mean anything anymore, unfortunately. So, okay, and in the game, right, we're probably gonna have a couple of like functions. Render, right, for the render time. But the thing about render should modify the state of the game. I think rendering could modify the state of the game, so that's why I'm gonna keep it like that. So then we're gonna have update, which accepts delta time in seconds. Maybe I'm gonna literally just have it like that, seconds. It's a struct. No, looks like a class to me, to be fair. It's definitely a class. Yes, it's a class. Hello, Karen Gunson. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Right. Another thing we need to do, we need to also be able to handle events. Yes, it's a class. Aiguduk is an expert in C++, so I actually trust him. He knows what he's talking about. It's definitely a class. It's definitely a class. Okay, so handle event. Handle event. Yes. SDL event is going to be pointed to an event, and there we go. So we're going to have these things. Afterwards, we want to organize the event loop. Right, so... Oh, the game also probably should have some sort of a state. So what's going to be the state of the game? So right now, I'm going to just make it like quit. Right. So, and since the game is going to be 0 initialized, right? Quit is going to be false by default, so then I can do something while game not quit, right? While game not quit, we're going to be doing all this stuff. So we'll need to have this structure in here, which we probably want to 0 initialize as well, and while SDL poll event, we poll in the roll poll in the event, we're going to be passing this stuff into the game. So handle event, right? So it's going to be handle event. There we go. Here's the event. Then, do we want to render the game? I guess. Yeah, it should be just, you know, game update. And what's going to be the delta time? Well, delta time, let's for now just make it constant, okay? So delta time, let's call it update delta time. So we're not going to calculate it based on how much it took to calculate the frame or anything. Let's just keep it like very simple. And then we render everything, right? And then we might as well just delay. So the update delta time should be in seconds, I think, right? Should be in seconds. Maybe we're going to call it secs. And then update delta time is going to be in milliseconds, right? MS. Cool. So something like this. I'm not quite sure. Does SDL delay even fail? Let's find out. 6. Yes. 6 fugs. Alright, so it's milliseconds. Cool. What's interesting is I already use like seconds type, and it has to be like a type def, right? It has to be something like type def. Let's define a type def, or maybe I can just do using seconds is going to be equal to float, right? So this is the seconds. All right. All right. So, and the thing is, I want to be able to use this kind of types in a config as well. So maybe because of that, I'm going to introduce something like types HPP, and this is where I'm going to put all of my types. And then we can try to include those types in here. Types HPP. Yeah, because I need to do this update delta time secs. and I want it to be part of the config, but maybe it doesn't really matter. Update time should be in seconds, right? And it will greatly depend on whether on the FPS, right? So we need to take 1 and divide it by screen FPS, which we should convert to a float, right? Or maybe to seconds. Better to float because, yeah, something like this. And what's going to be the screen FPS? What's going to be the screen FPS? The screen FPS is going to be actually 60, so we're going to use 60 FPS. But Zozin, I have a higher resolution screen. How do I use that? Okay, so now we need to have milliseconds, and in case of milliseconds it's going to be 32, but maybe we should also introduce a type for milliseconds. So it's going to be using milliseconds, and let's call it just ms then. There's a little bit of inconsistency. Yeah, let's call it milliseconds. uint32, so it's going to be uint32. Milliseconds, and it's gonna be essentially you take this entire thing and multiply by 1000, and yeah, so I think after that it only makes sense to just statically cast it to milliseconds, yeah, like this. So this is how we're gonna do that. This is how we're gonna do all of that. Alright, so is it gonna compile afterwards? That's a good question. That's a very good question. So let's try to recompile this entire stuff. Make. Okay, it didn't compile because we have unused variables, but this is just warnings. Alright, so yeah, unused parameter has to be this. And there we go. So almost first try. I compiled this entire thing almost first try. I think that's amazing. In my opinion, it's a little bit amazing. So, okay, so now we need to do some sort of a rendering. Some sort of a rendering. You know what? Like, why am I introducing these separate files? They don't make any sense. Let's just, you know, put everything like this. Like, I think I'm overcomplicating everything. Yes. So I'm only gonna start splitting into separate files when the code grows to like considerable size. To a considerable size. Apart from that, I don't think it makes sense to actually do that until we have that. All right. So now we need to do the rendering, chat. Now we need to do the rendering. How are we gonna do the rendering? So we need to do SDL clear. Yeah, we need to clear thing. SDL clear screen. I forgot how to do that. It's something like render clear. Yes, render clear. So SDL render clear, and of course this entire thing can fail, and that's why we need to wrap it into that. And we need to provide the renderer, and we do have a renderer right here. We don't even have to worry about that. So here's the renderer. And I think you also have to provide the render draw caller, and that's a little bit interesting because it accepts, yeah, the time has come for our unpack macro. Yeah, and it also can fail, by the way. So we can provide the renderer, and also we need to have a caller. So I'm thinking, let's introduce something like hex caller, which is going to be uint32, right? Yeah. So this is a hex caller, and it's uint32. How are we going to do all of that? That's a very good question. So essentially what I want to have here, I want to have an unpack macro. Something like unpack hex caller, which accepts the caller, and then it uses the usual trick with unpacking everything. So then later we can have something like const hex caller, and say for example background background color. Background color. So, and I can say something like 18, 18, 18, and there you go. Here is my color in basically in hex, and maybe I can even say FF for the alpha. So essentially, what this unpack hex color will do, it will unpack the values from here. So next, we need to understand how to get the red color, right? So the red color is here, so that means we have to shift 3 bytes, and 1 byte is 8 bits. So basically we're shifting, if we're shifting just 8, we're shifting only 1 byte, but we need to actually shift 3 of them. So I'm gonna multiply it by 3, you see? So, and that gives me like this value here, which I need to extract by masking it out with FF, and that gives me the value of the red. So after that, I need to do the same, but for green, and green just requires 2 bytes. It requires just 2 bytes. Blue requires just 1 byte of shifting, and alpha requires 0 of them, right? So something like this. So, and of course we need to escape all of these things to actually make it a real macro. Otherwise it's not gonna really work. And here is unpack hex color. So, now if I want to set this specific color, I can say unpack, why is this Russian? Unpack hex color, and I can say background color, and there you go. So the original signature of this function accepts 4 arguments here, but I'm actually providing like a single argument, and the 4 arguments are provided by this macro. So macro takes the hexadecimal value of the integer, right, and unpacks it into its components for you automatically. So that's basically what we do here. So it's a like basically paradigm that I often use on my streams, and I think it's quite convenient. Yeah, does it make any sense? Maybe it makes some sense. But yeah, now I can just have like this as a hex color and as a value and whatnot. I think it's quite cool. Not sure if it is actually, but it's just something that I find pretty neat. I personally find it pretty neat. So after that, after we cleaned everything, we want to actually present this entire stuff. So, and the question is, SDL present, is it, can it fail? Yeah, it cannot fail, it can never fail. Alright. So that's pretty pogue. And another thing that we probably need to check is switch event type, and if it's case SDL quit. Yeah, I also think it's a pretty cool trick, and I actually came up with it accidentally. I was so fed up, like, you know, unpacking the cores to set them into this thing, that I thought, like, I just want to abstract this pattern away. Right, I just want to abstract this pattern away, and then this idea came up. Yeah, I can just do that with macro, because it's just basically repeating pattern, and macros are quite good at, you know, compressing the repeating patterns like that. And yeah, so I think it's pretty cool. And what's interesting is that, by the way, you can also define something like unpack SDL color, right? Where you accept color like that. Look. And so then you can do color R, color G, color B, color A, right? So, and what's funny is that now if you have a color as an SDL color, which is a structure, you can also use it with this function by just switching hex with SDL, and basically you change the way you unpack the colors for these functions, right? And you can actually represent colors however you want. You just, for each way of representation, you create different unpacking macro. This is so cool. Like, the more I think about it, it's actually, the more I like it. It's a fucking genius idea. Yeah. Is that a divine intellect? I think it is. Add color functions to aids. I'm not sure if it's going to be that useful. Alright. So, yeah, here's a quit and stuff like that. So, and then I can just do something quit true. go, and we don't need to update much, so yesu kawaii. So let's actually see if it works or not. So we're gonna rebuild everything, and now I should be able to just run this entire thing, and it should give me the window. But the cool thing is that now I can set the color here to FF, and it should become completely red. But we're gonna do it like that. Yep, now it's red. I'm really sorry if it was too bright, but yeah, it actually works. So I can use like hex colors and just unpack them and set them and so on and so forth. Right, and in the future I can actually have more of different colors, but for now it's gonna be just this kind of background. Alright, so what's gonna be the next thing? The next thing is probably gonna be introducing some sort of a player. Right, and I'm not sure how I'm gonna introduce the player. Yeah, it could be some sort of a rectangle. Oh yeah, so if we're gonna start like doing some math, we need to introduce vector to like 2D vector and whatnot. So yeah. I want to make a cup of tea before we're gonna go into introducing math vector. Does anyone have any questions while I'm making a cup of tea? Any questions? I'm drinking Earl Grey today, by the way. If anyone is interested, of course. So yeah, feel free to ask a question. Yeah, Sodium Pog indeed. Finally, Earl Grey. Earl Grey is very nice. Very bergamoty. Very citrusy, because bergamot is a citrus. The Earl of JS. Maybe? I don't know what that means, but yeah. Hello, Decino, by the way. Hello. What will this game be like? I have no idea. Like, I just want to develop some relatively more or less complex game around maybe 500 lines of code, or maybe more, like up 1000 lines, because I think like 1000 lines of code is pretty complex enough to see interesting patterns emerging, and then using different compression techniques to compress those patterns, if you know what I mean. Because yeah, 1000 lines is not that big of a game, but it's big enough for complexity to emerge a little bit, to show itself a little bit. Earl of the Grey Cloud. Parameter unrolling. You can probably call it unrolling, but I personally call it unpacking, right? So yeah, I call it unpack. Similarly to how C++ variadic templates call them unpacking, because in C++ 17 you have this like variadic template packs and the operation of unpacking them. So by analogy, I think it makes more sense for me to call this unpack operation. But yeah, you can call it whatever you want. Maybe unrolling, why not? Alrighty, so I'm gonna go to the kitchen and quickly turn on the kettle, right? And maybe I also want to refill my bottle. You know what? Let's make a cup like a small break. I think a small break is gonna be very appreciated by myself. Alright, so it's gonna be small break. I should probably use my templates. So let's put 3 minutes. I think 3 minutes should be enough. 3 minutes should be enough, and yeah, okay. Let's make a small break, boys and girls, and you guys have fun. Hello. Welcome. How are everyone's doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, let's do something. Let's introduce some stuff. So maybe it's gonna be some sort of like a grid-based game. Hello, Beat69 Stream. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Something to like easy to implement. Something that doesn't require physics or anything like that. You know, something like grid-based should be okay. Okay. By the way, my kettle is ready. Just a second. I'm gonna quickly pour like a cup of water, and then I'm gonna be back. It's not gonna be even a minute. Seriously. I'm really sorry. Coming. I'm back. The samovar is ready. Samovar is ready. Okay. Cool. So since it's gonna be sort of like a grid-based, right? It's gonna be grid-based. Maybe it makes sense to introduce some sort of like a tile size, right? You know what I mean? Oh wait. Before we go for the tile sizes, I want you to have vectors and shit, right? So I want you to introduce a vector class. Let's quickly introduce it. So it's gonna be vector2, and it's gonna be just structure that I think it has to be templated one. I think it has to be templated one because quite often I need to have vectors of both floats and integers, and especially in a grid-based game. I'm going to have type for a coordinate of a single cell and the type for coordinate like in absolute space, right? So it's quite often I have something like that, right? And I want them to be incompatible actually, so that's quite important. So this one is going to be x and y, and there we go. So maybe it would make sense to introduce some sort of a constructor for them, like v2 tx ty, specifically just to construct this kind of things. You know what I mean? So then I should be able to do things like that. 69 for 20. And I wonder if it's gonna work like that. I think the type of the class is not derived in the constructors, is it? I don't quite remember. Is that a thing? Does anyone know? If I try to just do something like this. Okay, it does compile, and now in the main, what if I try to create auto position vector2 69 420? Will it be able to defer types correctly? To infer, I mean. Okay, it managed to infer types, so that's cool. Okay. Can I print the type? Is there any way for me to get the type of the thing? So C++ type decal, I think that's what it is. Decal type, yeah, decal type, and then I want to take the name of the type. Inspects the declared type of the entity of the type and value category of the expression. Yeah, decal type. So can I do decal type position x and then something like C++ type ID? And what does it return? Does type ID return sister? Okay, so type info must be included using type ID. Type info. So it returns type info, right? It returns type info, then you can take a name, and name is what? Name is construct. Okay, so that's cool. So let's quickly include, because I'm really curious. Type info. Right, type info. Hello, ANGKYKIS. Hello. Okay, so type ID, and all of this is actually the keywords. and then we'll do println. Then we're gonna just do like that, and let's actually see what's the type of this thing. Unused parameter. So what was that? Yeah, I have to do something like std out to actually be able to do that. And it's I. Okay, it just returned it I. Returned I. That's not really useful. I was hoping that in GCC type ID is gonna be like a full name, but I mean it's compiler dependent. As far as I know, type IDs are compiler dependent. Right, returns a value which is identical for the same type. Yeah, but I suppose I is for integer, right? If I try to do something like that, it's probably gonna be just F. Right, so it's gonna be just F. Oh, it's just D. It's probably because it's double, and if I put F in here, it's gonna be F. Okay, so that makes sense. Cool. So apparently it can differ from the constants. I don't know why I thought it cannot differ, like infer the types in the constructors, but I guess it can do that. So that's perfect. So I'm totally okay with that. All right. See, I remember a thing or two about C++. I guess. Not 100% sure, but yeah. Cool. Wait a second. I just realized, what's the definition of SDL caller? The size of SDL caller is exactly 32 bits. If I reinterpret SDL caller as uint32, will this work? So that's a good question. That's a very good question, because essentially yeah, 32 bits integer, it could be also a structure with 4 bytes, and maybe I'm just doing extra work. Have you done any 3D programming ever? Well, ever, yes. So, yeah. I wrote my first 3D program when I was in high school, which was so it's 8. I graduated 8 years ago, then 5 years. Yeah, so I basically wrote my first 3D program 13 years ago, and I didn't use OpenGL. I actually did software rendering. So essentially, I just rendered and rasterized triangles myself, pixel by pixel, on CPU, and I made a small little game with spaceships, you know, moving towards you, and you have to shoot them in 3D. It was hella fun. Yes. Yeah, I did a 3D, and I did it even without OpenGL. Can you believe that? Alright, so let's pour a cup of tea. Oh, and by the way, and I did that in Delphi. Yes, I did it in Delphi, which is like a Pascal dialect or something. Yeah. Now that's a proper B-boomer shit. Gotta tell you. Imagine writing 3D games in Delphi without OpenGL, software rasterizer and shit. So yeah, that's what I did. Holy shit, I'm old. Yeah. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Let's continue. So what I was doing? Oh yeah, I was implementing this shit. Cool. So, and I also probably want to overload some operators. I probably want to have an operator plus. Right, which returns a new thingy in here. And accepts vector2, we're gonna call it that. So essentially, what I expect from this thing is to construct a new vector, right? this x plus that x, this y plus that y, right, something like this. So we're also gonna duplicate this stuff for minuses. Now we have subtraction. I think it's gonna work if I make it like a method. I think it should work if I remember correctly. So we also probably need something like length, but length is not gonna really work that easily. Alright, unless we have some sort of a specialization. So it has to be floats and shit. Also, let me actually move them outside of the structure. I don't really feel comfortable having them inside of the structure. And this one is gonna be just something like A. This is gonna be something like this. So this is gonna be A, and that is gonna be B. This is gonna be A, and that is gonna be B. Cool. And here's the thing. Abstract V1 Zulu. Yes, that's a good idea. I want to have something like length, right? But length will require square root, and square root is only for floats. So because of that, I think we're gonna overload this entire thing. So we're gonna have a vector to float, actually like return float, and we're gonna do it like that. So it's gonna be take a square and take a square of y and do sqrtf. Right, sqrtf. And we'll have to return this entire thing. Cool. Now, I also want to have a version for double just in case. And for double, you just have something like this. There we go. And also, I want to be able to normalize the vector. But to normalize the vector, so for example, if I have like an integer vector, right? If I have an integer vector, I want to be able to normalize it to either float or double, depending on what you want, right? So that means I need to be able to cast the types within the integers, if you know what I mean. So what if we have something like template type name u, right? And essentially what we do here, we implement v2u, and the method is called cast2, right? And what it essentially does, it just constructs the other vector in here, and just statically casts them all to your type, to your desired type, so you don't have to do that yourself. So that's pretty useful. And the reason why I want to do that, so you're doing normalization, right? Normalize. Normalize. So you accept a vector of some certain type, right? Template type name t. So, and for example, you want to return float. So to be able to do that, we take this thing and we cast it to float, right? And then we're calculating the length of everything. We'll calculate the length of it and then divide each component by that. So it's going to be outer b. Then we need to have a length, which is b. Yeah, just literally length of b. And then we return v2 bx divided by l and by divided by l, right? And this is a version for floats, and you can always create a version for doubles if you want to. There we go. So that's how it works. So if you have an integer vector, if you try to normalize it, you can always choose between the resulting. Oh yeah, this one has to be actually vector to float. Right, because normalization requires like division and length and so on and so forth. So yeah. So that's why I implemented that. Does it make sense? Does any of this make sense? So all of that is needed to preserve like static typeness and strictness and stuff like that. Hopefully that makes sense. Maybe we can even squash this entire thing, because length can be only for these two types, right? Length can be only for these two types, and that means maybe I can just make this as u, right? And just keep it like that. Because if you try to, you know, use a different kind of type in here, it's not gonna work out anyway, so... because there's no length for that specific type. So I'm not sure how many problems I'm gonna have because of that, but yeah, I'm gonna just stick with it. So this is the whole set that I wanna have, and that set is usually enough, except we need to be able to scale the vector. We need to be able to scale the vectors. What's the easiest way to scale a vector? Well, let's quickly do that. Yeah. Let's implement the scaling. So you have A, and then you also use S, and essentially, let's put it this way. We're gonna multiply it by S, right? And this has to be this thing. And I also want to be able to do that in any order, so I'm also gonna reorder this entire thing like this. Can you use copy constructor instead of cast too? Does copy constructor convert the types? Does it convert them? I think it's gonna be complicated. I don't want to go into that. So basically you'll have to have a templated copy constructor. Oof. No. Not even sure if it's going to be possible. So it's outside of the scope of what I'm doing. Whatever. Okay, so I think I have a bare minimum of what I need here. Okay, so this one has to be a template, of course. And of course, so what else do we have here? Expected primary, oh, do you have to do something like type name? Oh, no, type name. How do I pass it there? Does anybody know? This is actually very sad. C++ makes me sad. I forgot how to do that. Does anyone remember? Okay. C++ templates, template compilation error. Yeah, chat, why are you dead? Okay, so... yeah, template, I found it. I fucking found it. So you do it like that. Welcome to C++, motherfucker! Ah, fucking classic. Is it really that hard to parse the shit? Yeah, that's some C++ for you, I guess. Basically, it cannot understand that I trying to like instantiate like a class, like a method in here, so it needs to like a hint. Alright. Ooh, boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Where is my soy? So yeah, I finally have all of this shit. Cool. So since it's gonna be tile, like grid-based, right? It's going to be grid-based. So I need to introduce something like const float tile size. We're going to have a single tile size. 69. Do you like coding in CPP? CPP is kind of limited in what it can do. Right. Right. So C preprocessor. Right. So it's not even Turing complete actually. So like, I'm not sure if you can call it programming. Right. Because it's not even Turing complete. It's kind of cool for some particular situations, but programming in CPP, nah. It cannot even do recursion. It's only useful for conditional compilations and just, you know, including all the files together. So, but apart from that, I didn't think it's that great. Yeah. Anyways, what do we got? So here's the tile size, and the tile size is this. Whew. Okay, so here's the question. Let's also introduce something like camera. Shigiman, hello, welcome. So it's going to be the camera. So the camera is going to have a position, right? So it's going to be a position in float. To be fair, maybe I want to have some sort of like a type. Position, and probably we're going to have a velocity of some sort as well. So let's make it velocity. And essentially, we don't need to render anything, but we do need to update things. So it's going to be in seconds dt. Do we need anything else for the camera? So the camera should be also able to map certain things to screen, right? It can accept a point. Oh my god, Niroko! Thank you so much for a tier 1 subscription. Your first subscription, by the way. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And welcome to our epic game development club. How about that? Cheers. Nice, nice. Finally, I will have something to eat this month. All right. So we need to have like 2 screen, and also I need to have 2 world. Right. So, and surprisingly enough. I need to be able to know the size of the window. Oh my god! Cian Swiney subscribed with Twitch Prime. Thank you. What is going on today? First time, by the way. First subscriptions. Thank you. Welcome to our epic game development club. I'm not a professional game developer, but I kind of like game development. I think it's kind of cool. Thank you so much. Cheers. Interesting. Alright. So we need to know the width and height of the window. The question is, where can we get the width and height of the window? Asiel, get size of the window. Get window size. So we can just literally use that. Surprisingly enough, what we can do here. To get the size of the window, right? To get the size of the window, we need to have the instance of the window. But the window is located within the game, right? So that means you should be able to just do game window like this. There we go. Yeah, and kind of even makes sense if you think about it. Furthermore, I think it would be even cooler if within the game itself, right, you have a method, something like v2 int window size, right? Window size, and essentially what it will do, unfortunately we won't be able to make it const, right, because it needs a non-const pointer to the window. Right, so we're gonna do it like that, and SDL get window size, window, WH, and then we can return v2 WH. So we can have the size as the vector, so it's a little bit easier for us to do any modifications with it. Do any modifications. So yeah, now I can do game, maybe game window size, and for example, I want to take half of the window size. I can multiply this entire thing by half. Well, to be fair, window size is an integer, so maybe at first I want to cast it to float. So I'm going to be casting it to float, and then I'm going to be scaling it to 0.5. So that's pretty cool. So we can take a window size, and then you can cast it to whatever type you want. So in my opinion, it's pretty cool. I think it's kind of cool. Alright, so let me think how we're gonna map to the screen. Alright, so we have this point, right, and the position of the camera is actually positive. The position of the camera is positive, so that means you take the point and you subtract the position from it, and this is how you map it to the screen. But on top of that, you have to add, right, you have to add half of the screen. You have to add half of the screen to actually make the camera aligned to the center. Right? You have a point, you subtract the position of the camera, and you add half of the screen. Right. So, and to map all of that to the world, right, you have a point in the screen and you need to map it back to the world, and it's quite important, especially for clicks, because you have mouse position, which is a screen coordinates, and you need to be able to convert them to the world coordinates. Right, so to do that we have to do the opposite. We have to subtract half of the window size, and add the position of the camera. There we go. So now we have a camera, and we can map between screen and world using this camera, and this is actually pretty convenient, and all of that depends on the size of the window. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Another thing, so camera should be also able to update itself. Right, so, and I want to be able to do it like that. Position plus velocity multiplied by delta t. So, but we don't have plus equals for the vectors, and that will be actually super convenient in my opinion. So let's quickly implement that. So, where is going to be the plus? So in that case, it's going to be template, type name t, vector 2t, operator plus equals. So this one has to be a reference, and this one has to be just a regular thing in here. And I think essentially how you do that, you just do it like that. Right, and then you just do it like this. And this entire thing, I think should return a back, but it should return it as a reference, if I remember correctly. Hello TNH and H, welcome to the stream. Works, by the way. What's that? Is that a free BSD thing? Did you build your BSD again? Well, it works, but it's horrible. I mean, so is that what the viewer suggested? This is horrible. But it's pretty cool that you can make it work. So, but nah, sorry. Shigiman, thank you so much for 2 months of Twitch Prime subscription. Poke indeed. Thank you, and welcome to Epic Game Welcome Club. Of course it is horrible. Yeah, but it's kind of cool as a recreational exercise, so yeah. It's pretty cool. Alright, so it's actually kind of noisy. Like, even such a small templates are a little bit noisy to me. I don't know why. Alright, so we have a little bit of a compilation errors. So this is not a compilation error. Unused variable. Okay, game was not okay. That's very interesting. So we have a little bit of the referential things going on, which is not particularly great. So if I move this thing here, I'm not able to actually define it because the game is defined later. Oof. So that means I have to forward declare struct. So I have to forward declare it, but I cannot forward declare the actual value. So that means I have to store this thing by like a pointer and whatnot. Right, so it's initially going to be null ptr. So that means later I have to allocate it somewhere, for example, on the dynamic memory. So I have to do something like game, new game, and hopefully that will actually zero initialize it, and only then I should be able to, you know, initialize everything else. Hello, Rima. I hope I pronounced your nickname correctly. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to our game development stream. So yeah, and in here I have to actually reference it by pointer. So maybe I can query replace game this and like this. Yeah, hopefully that's gonna work. Alrighty, and what else do we have here? Could not convert int. Oh my god, this is even more horrible. Wait a second. From int to float. Oh, that's very interesting. So you cannot statically cast int to float? Hello, Miles Glorious. Sus, welcome to the stream. Wait, you cannot statically cast them? Really? So let me actually see. I cannot believe that. Prob CPP. So I'm pretty sure you should be able to. Like you have a float x6969 f, and then I say y, and I do static cast. Was it actually from float to int or from... Okay, from int to float. Alright, so it's gonna be int. Or maybe I'm actually doing something incorrectly. From int to float, so it's gonna be float. And I'm pretty sure it should be possible to do something like that, but it doesn't really allow me. Prob. Yeah, I think I'm misunderstanding it. So this is huge misunderstanding. Alright, so let's go. Where exactly it's happening? Window size cast to could not convert. Why exactly can you not convert it? So U is a float and T is that. So apparently this cast thing also doesn't work somehow. So maybe I also have to specify this thing here. Maybe that's what you want? Oh, yeah, wait a second. It could be because by v2 it means its own constructor, so maybe you have to specify explicitly that you mean a different constructor. What a useful error message! How on earth are you supposed to guess? Oh my god, this is such a trash error message. Like, it has nothing to do with the actual problem. Like, seriously, it has nothing to do with an actual problem. Oh my god. Condemn it, mate. Okay. Nice. So we have a camera and shit, so I'm happy, more or less. GCC, please. Yes. Exactly. Ah, fuck. I wonder how expensive this operation is. Does it do like a very difficult query? Like heavy query and difficult. I want to take a look at the source code of the SDL, just to see what exactly this function does. Because I'm not sure if it's too heavy. So let's actually do grep rn. Let's find some of the implementations of this function. if it does have any implementations. Okay. It literally just goes inside of the structure and extracts. Can I do that myself? Can I just do that myself, seriously? So if I find, yeah. So let me go to compilation and I'm gonna try to find a window. And I think I have to search specifically for something like that. Where is SDL window? I didn't see SDL window. We have to do it like that. Oh shit, okay. SDL window. Was it SDL window? What's the type of this thing? SDL window? I'm brain farting so hard right now. Yes, it is SDL window, but why can't I find it? Alright, so SDL window. Ah, I see. So, and where is the definition of SDL window? Okay, let's try to find this thing. Struct SDL window. Where is it defined? Does it have? I think I found it. It depends actually on video driver, right? So do we have OpenGL or just GL driver? Okay, whatever. So let me find all of these things. Yes. Oh, and depending on the driver, this entire thing is gonna be just different. It could be, yeah. I think it's better to not to touch internal things. Yeah, it's better not to touch them. So that's why we have to access them through this function, and that function is probably not that expensive. So we just extract the value out of this thing. I don't really know why I worry about it that much. So the thing is. Now, I want to render the whole game, but I also want to render like grid, right? I want to be able to render grid with different random colors and whatnot. With different random colors. And how can we have a random color for a very specific thing? Okay. So let's go to the struct game. Struct game. So here's the render. So essentially, I want to set the game camera velocity to be something like v2 minus 1f minus 1f, right? So it's basically gonna go in by diagonal, right? It's gonna slowly go by diagonal, but maybe we want to make it a little bit faster, like 10, right? We want to make it a little bit faster, and yeah. So essentially now, if I want to render everything, I need to know what tiles I need to render. So that's the main problem. I need to know what tiles I need to render, but to do that, I also need to know the actual rectangle of the camera, and the rectangle of the camera also depends on the size of the window and whatnot. All right. So let me try to draw everything. Right. Maybe I'm overcomplicating everything, but probably not. To be fair, right, so essentially, if you have this rectangle as a camera. So here is your camera, and you know the left top corner and the bottom down corner, bottom right corner. So you can easily detect this tile. You can easily detect this tile, and you can easily detect this tile. Right. So, and these two tiles give you the range of the tile coordinates that you have to basically render. And that should be it. So the only thing you need to do is to be able to easily get that rectangle of the camera. Right, you just need to be able to easily get that rectangle of the camera. And the question is, how can you do that easily? So it would be kind of nice if the camera just had a function that returns a rectangle. Something like this. View rect. Right, and essentially what it does, it just gives you a rectangle, but the question is, what is a rectangle? Hello Fest3, welcome to the stream. So you have a position, so you also need to know the window size, right? So you do game window size, and that gives you that. Then you can try to cast that to the float, and there you go, you have a window size in floats. Cool. So we can keep that size in here somewhere. So we'll keep it here. So here's the size. Afterwards, so the beginning of the rectangle is going to be essentially the position of the camera minus half of this size. So that's what it is. So this is the beginning of the rectangle, and the size of the rectangle is the size of the window, essentially. So, and you basically need to construct a rectangle out of that. You just construct a rectangle out of that, and there you go. So, but you need to, we need to define the type of the rectangle somehow. We need to define the type of the rectangle. All right. So let me see. So here is the vector. Here's the vector sheet, and let's define something like structure rect. So it's going to be vector2 template type 19. So this one is the position of the vector, right? And this one is the size of the rectangle, right? And of course you might want to have a constructor here. Are you using any game engine? Depends on the definition of a game engine. I use SDL2. Does it count as a game engine? Alright. So this is what we're gonna have here, and that will make it easy for us to do all of that. Cool. So let's see if it compiles. This is not how we compile it. Yep. It does not compile. Let's try to figure out why. So size, no operator multiply. Oh, this is because, yeah, I casted it to float, but now it's a completely different thing. Okay. So, and in here, game has no member named camera. Oh no. Okay, let's try to fix that. So let's introduce the camera. Camera. So, and we can be sure that the camera is going to be 0 initialized, because this is how we initialize things. Camera is not defined. Oof. Okay, so can I define the camera then above this entire stuff, but below forward declaration of the game? That would be kind of cool, not gonna lie. Okay, so yeah, it makes it kind of difficult to do this kind of shit. So you need to forward declare. Oh my god, everything here has to be forward declared and shit. Alright, the main problem is that if you start interconnecting them too much, it just doesn't really work that easily. Alright, let's make a small break. Let's make a small break. I really want to pee. Small break. Yeah, so it's gonna be SB, 3 minutes. And after 3 minutes, we're gonna continue working on that. So I think I'm starting to see the flow with like having the global game, because it becomes like a forward declaration madness. And also because of that, I'll have to put different components of the game on in dynamic memory, which will complicate initialization of the game. And I really don't want to complicate initialization of the game. So after the break, we're gonna try to figure out how to fix all of that. Right, let's make a small break, and you guys have fun. All right, we're back. How about that? How about that? All right, so one of the things we can probably have. So camera depends on the game, and game contains the camera. So how do we resolve that? How do we resolve that? The one way to resolve that, the actually obvious way to resolve that, of course, is to, you know, do it like that. You just define camera here, then you allocate camera on the stack, and you also forward declare like everything here, right? So you forward declare everything, but I don't want to do that, right? Because that means I have to allocate the camera and everything. I just want to be able to do something like that, but that will not work because that means camera has to be known at this, the size of the camera has to be known at this time. And I think it should be able to know, because the camera by itself doesn't need to know the size of the game. Yes. So, and this is where we have to start like splitting into headers and implement. Okay, so that explains everything. All right, so we need to start splitting everything into into files to make it easy to do that. But if we're not gonna actually split anything, what we need to do is just define camera like this, forward declare, like not forward declare, but just declare camera above the game, like this, just declare it above the game as the struct, and also define its methods. All right. So, but then you have to put that into separate files and whatnot. Right. So here are the methods. Yeah, so it was a pretty good idea to go on a break. Because, yeah, I finally realized what I'm doing here. Welcome back. Yeah, so the only reason why we define it here so the game can know the size of the camera, and then inside of this camera we don't even need to do that. Right, we don't even need to do that, and we'll just have to prefix all of that, and yeah, so that makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense, and this is going to be the camera. Classical C++ with its headers and implementations and whatnot. Right, and that will compile. Well, sort of. Oh, yeah, and this one also has the big camera. Another one. No declaration, camera, something, something. Really? You don't have such a declaration? Apparently I maybe forgot about it. So this one has to be like this. Well, sort of, because, I mean, the idea is correct. It's just I have to go through the compilation errors and fix things like semicolons and typos and not declared signatures and stuff like that. I mean, but the concept is working, right? So it's just like we're dealing with statically typed compiled languages where if you make a mistake, it's just not compiled, so you have to sort of clean everything up, and that's basically what it is. Right, so of course it's not like the flow in the idea. There is no particular flow in the idea itself. To be fair, yeah, I think. All right, so now I just need to. Okay, use of a deleted game. Oh, why is the constructor deleted? Why is the constructor deleted? Is implicitly because the default definition would be ill-formed. Why would it be ill-formed? Ah, interesting. The default definition would be ill-formed. So do I really have to specify the default constructor? I just want to allocate zero initialized everything on the stack. And that's it. I mean, I can try to do something like this. I can do false. I can then set this to null pointer, and then this to null pointer, and this to just zero initialized. Like, just zero initialize everything, bro. Could not convert brace zero initialized. Okay, so in a structure, right, in a struct, just zero initialize everything. Why do I do that? Excuse me? Like, why exactly I have to do that? Apparently I have to do that, but I don't understand why I have to do that. Like, seriously. Why? It's so weird. Like, okay. Zero? You think it's gonna work like this? I think it, like, doing game zero sounds like a C shit. So it's very C way of initializing it, and I'm not sure if C++ will actually do that. And it's not something that it was complaining about. So I'm not sure if you're just actually suggesting something useful, or you're just guessing and making me waste my time, which is quite likely. Okay, so let me actually take a look and yeah, you're just wasting my time. Yes. Okay, I'm not gonna listen. So It's very strange why we have to do it like that, and it's probably because we're locating it in a dynamic memory. So the easiest way to do that. Let me try to take a look at the like Google the problem and see try to understand you know, what exactly is going on. Let me remove all of that, it's not needed. Okay, is implicitly deleted. Okay, so it's a very interesting error because like it's kind of strange. So, well, the problem is not with the note simply explains the reason. Okay, whatever. Instead of trying to default, you can simply write your own default constructor for the class. It's very strange. Why just doing that is simply not enough? Why do I have to provide each an individual field there? This is so weird. Well, I mean, I can, but that kind of defeats the point. That kind of defeats the point of saying, just zero initialize everything. That literally defeats the whole point, and I don't like that. Look, why are you doing that to me? Like, why do... Really? And then, can I do it like that then? Oh my god. I'm disappointed. I'm so disappointed. Like, this defeats the whole point. I don't want to know the structure, the internal structure of this entire shit. I just don't care. Just fucking allocate the object and zero initialize everything. This is so dumb. Oh my god. I think the issue is the v2s in the class v2s. Wait, is that because I have a constructor for v2? Oh shit. That could be the reason, actually. Oh shit. Okay, that explains it. Yeah, there we go. So basically... Oh my god, it's so slow. Yeah, since you have a constructor there, yeah, you have to... It's something that Jiang actually noticed a long time ago. Right. Cannot deduce template, yeah, and that one is not gonna work. I wonder if I can just do it like that. Or, let's see, so I'll have to go through some of the problems in here. Alright, so this one could be like this. Okay, and can I do it like that? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, I don't want to do that, but apparently I'll have to do that for each of them. Yeah, and it also slows down dramatically because I'm using C mode in Emacs. And can I just do it like that? Will it work? It's kind of promising. It's kind of promising. So, and I like that. I like that. It's very promising. Okay, that works. So the problem was the constructor in v2, because the constructor, since I created the constructor, it polluted the rest of the structure, so you cannot just zero initialize it anymore. I think Jiang was actually talking about it the other day. Yeah, so he said that the problem with C/C++ is that if you like have at least like, I don't remember what exactly he said, but I think that's the result. So you have one constructor in one of the classes and boom, you have to define constructors everywhere. I guess that's the flaw of this approach, and that kind of makes it difficult to use other C++ libraries. But not other C libraries. It actually integrates with C libraries quite well. So essentially, if you're programming with C/C++ and you rely a lot on zero initialization rule, on zero rule, you're kind of stuck with using only C dependencies. runtime information. I don't think it has anything to do with runtime type information. We're just talking about constructors and default constructors. Alrighty, so oh yes, I know. I'm an idiot. I think I can have a default constructor. So I can have something like this. So yeah, I think I understand now. So if I put it like this, it's not gonna compile because it's ill-formed, right? Ill-formed. But then, can I just define like a default constructor? Is this how we do that? Just like this. Yeah, I completely forgot that I could probably do it like that. Why didn't I think about it? Yes, I can just define a default constructor that zero initializes all of that and just, yeah. Okay. So, and I can still have, but I already actually get rid of all of that. So, whatever, sure. That was an interesting journey. But yeah, we recalled a little bit of a C++. Okay, what exactly I was doing? So it's gonna render. Where is the game render? Yeah. So maybe I should start splitting like game, camera, and other stuff into separate files, and then composing all of this. Maybe not. Maybe we're gonna do that a little bit later. All right. So when I'm rendering everything, right? When I'm rendering everything, I want to take the camera, right? I want to take the camera and how was it called? Camera, something like ViewRect. Yes, it was called ViewRect. ViewRect, and it gives me a ViewRect. Let me go. Where's SimpC mode? SimpC. Eval buffer. There we go. Okay, so here's the ViewRect, and I can have it like this. So here's the ViewRect. Now, by looking at the position of the rectangle, I should be able to defer. The coordinate, the tile coordinate, if you know what I mean, the tile coordinate. So essentially, to defer the tile coordinate, I need to take the position and divide it by tile coordinate, right? By dividing it by tile coordinate, I can, yeah. But that's not really enough, because now I need to floor it, right? I need to be able to floor this entire thing. And the question is, how can I floor each individual component of the vector in a convenient way? So it would be kind of cool to do something like floorf, like map floorf, right? Map floorf and then cast to integer. You see what I mean? So essentially divide by tile size, floorf the entire thing and cast it to integer. I want to be able to do things like that. Let's implement a function. Let's implement a functionality that will enable us doing that. So, because I think it's useful. So, struct vector. So you have cast, and oh shit, I don't have a template highlighting. Okay, so we'll have to do something like this then. All right. So it's gonna be template type name. But if we are mapping, well, I mean, it probably doesn't matter. So v2 is gonna be like this. Map. And we're gonna accept a function that returns u, right? And this function is gonna be pointer, and it takes t. So, and then what we're gonna return, we're gonna essentially return, yeah, it has to be like this. But I mean, something like this probably is easier. F of x, f of y. There we go. So now you should be able to easily map your vectors, right? And that will enable you with easily like floorfing them, if you know what I mean. Right. So we take the rectangle. We might as well actually maybe, nah, it's not particularly useful. So this is the coordinate. Yeah, it's basically making it a functor. So I want to be able to have a function that essentially takes the absolute coordinates, the position, and returns you the tile coordinates. Right, and essentially what it does, it just divides by tile size, florfs entire thing, and casts it to integer. There we go. So, and yeah, how can we call it? How would be better to call it? So these kind of coordinates is obviously like tile coordinates. Way to dank? What is exactly way to dank? I don't understand. Whatever. So, and here is the thing. So one corner is gonna be f rect pose, right? F rect pose, and another corner is gonna be rect pose plus rect size. There we go. That expression, I think it's pretty readable. Yeah, you divide by tile size, then map it and cast it, so I think it's pretty readable. Okay. So this entire thing could be also const. Nice. So you have these coordinate things that you now have to iterate over. And essentially the way you're gonna do that is int x a x bx, right? And the same thing, but replace x with y. And there we go. So now you're essentially iterating over all of the coordinates, like tile coordinates, visible within the camera. That's what it is. So they're visible within the camera. Okay. But again, I want to come up with a good name for this function. And to come up with the name of this function, we need to introduce like special types. So we can have something like tile coordinates, right? And essentially it's going to be v2 int. So this is the tile coordinates. Tile coordinates, and this one is ABS coordinates, but it's kind of could be like a world coordinates, maybe. I don't know how to call them, like maybe ABS. So, and we can just do something like ABS to tile, and then we can do an opposite thing like tile to ABS. Tile to ABS, and after that we can do ABS to tile, and not to file but to tile. Right, and yeah. And all of that probably should be defined outside of the game, of course, because it has nothing to do with the game. Well, it does have something to do with the game per se, but it doesn't have anything to do with the struct game. So, and once you're iterating over these things, we should be able to render those tile rectangles. Should be able to render these tile rectangles, and the question is how we're gonna render them. Apps should be float, isn't it float? Yeah, it should be float, thank you. Oh my god, Emacs is getting slower. Yes, Emacs is getting really slow when it's working with C++ files, and especially that involves a lot of like template stuff. Is just getting really sluggish. It's just so painful, and cannot switch to anything else because in Visual Studio Code I cannot navigate as fast as in Emacs. Fortunately, the only solution for me would be to do something like text mode and just don't have any highlighting, but people will leave the stream saying, "Oh, where's highlighting?" It's open source. I already fixed it. I actually implemented something called simpc mod. So yeah, that's how we fixed it. So the problem with simpc mod is that it doesn't support C++ keywords for some reason. I'm not sure why. C++ keywords. Let's actually add C++ keywords. Are these all of the C++ keywords? I wish it was just a list that I can copy paste, but obviously they don't make it easy for me. Obviously they don't make it easy for me. So maybe we have to do it like that. Does it contain the latest ones as well? So what's the version? Yeah, to be fair, right now, what I need, I can just add them manually. I think I can just add them manually, so it's gonna be simpc mod. So, the things I don't have using, so it's gonna be using. What else? Template, and site name. Operator probably as well. Probably operator. And I don't know why I'm adding like these things here. It's a Lisp. You don't have to do it like that. Right. So eval buffer and simpc mod one more time, and there we go. So here we have them. Type name didn't work. Really? Are you sure? I see. Okay, very funny. So yeah, it's not gonna work that easily. It's not gonna work that easily. So that means I have to match keywords differently. I see. So how do I match keywords? So I'm using the rejects opt, which, yeah, doesn't really work that well. It is what it is, and it isn't what it isn't. I wish I could just use this mode, but it's not really working great with C++, but we may try. Okay, so I have to go back. Okay, so let's take a look at... oh, I don't have a division, I just realized that. Okay, so division should be similar to multiplication. So, because, I mean, it's basically multiplication, isn't it? I think it is. So you dividing this thing, and you just divide the scalar. Alright, so do we have anything else? And I forgot a semicolon, so that's understandable. That's understandable. Okay, so everything seems to be compiling. Now, how are we gonna render all of that? So here is the coordinate, here's the coordinate. And I want to be able to map this to an absolute value, right? So it's going to be tile to absolute, tile to... I cannot autocomplete this stuff. Oh yeah, because I never actually implemented it. So now I want to be able to do tile to absolute. So you take tile coordinates, position, and absolute coordinates. And how do you convert them? How do you convert them? Well, you take the position. You probably want to cast it to float first. Can you add simpc to your dot files? No, because it's a separate repo. There we go. It's not finished, by the way. I do not recommend using it in production. Okay, so here's the float, and essentially after that I want to simply multiply it by a tile size. And just return it. Okay, tile, like this. Very straightforward. Okay, so then tile to ABS, and I really don't like ABS, because it makes it sound like an absolute value, like a function. Maybe we could call them free coordinates. How about that? Like, there's a tile coordinates and there are free coordinates. You see what I mean? Like a grid and non-grid. Global. It sounds like an opposite of local. Tile coordinates are not local, they're also global, if you know what I mean. They're just in a different sort of plane. I don't think it's a good name. Aligned? Aligned with what? What aligned? How calling these things aligned makes sense? I don't understand. Row. No. World also bad name because it's an opposite of screen coordinates. Right. No, because the tile coordinates, they're also located in the world. Both of them are in the world. Both of them are global. They're just different. You see what I mean? Both of them are in the world and both of them are global. Row is a good name. Okay. It's a little bit better. It's a little bit better. But logically, then tile should be called cooked coordinates. Okay. Row. Yeah, maybe it's good. So a row. All right. So row to tile, tile to row. Not bad. Not bad. So first coordinates are actually like tile coordinates are discrete, and the row coordinates are continuous. Hello, Frorik. Oh, I know you. You're like a Cachet's friend. Hello. Yeah, so it's essentially... I'm really sorry, this is an English-speaking stream, so majority of people don't understand you. Yeah, so essentially what I'm doing, I'm re-implementing the math libraries, essentially. The only dependency I use is SDL2. So I'm really sorry that I speak in English, because this is an English-speaking stream, and majority of viewers, they don't speak Russian. Fortunately or unfortunately, it just depends on how you view it. Though Russian is pretty good language in some places. So if you consider learning a foreign language, I would recommend learning Russian. Alright. Though it's kind of difficult language if your native language is English. If your native language is other Slavic language, learning Russian could be easier, but yeah. Because you already kind of know the gist of the Slavic languages. Hello, John. Hello, welcome to the stream. So we have row coordinates, row tile. Alright. Oh, by the way, I probably should trust you. There we go. You can start learning Russian, then streamer speaks only Russian. Yes. My Russian is actually kind of bad, like I cannot pronounce certain phonemes of Russian language, which makes me sound really weird. So yeah, I prefer speaking English instead. Fake, I mean, another fake Russian is just like I can't speak Russian properly. Where's Sonia from? I'm from America. Fuck yeah. Sorry. America. Fuck yeah. So say R, or you mean that sound? I can pronounce it by itself. It's actually I know the mechanics of this sound. The thing is, my mouth just makes it difficult to pronounce that sound casually, right? So I really have to put a lot of effort into just pronouncing this specific sound, and I cannot use it fluently in the speech. So that's the problem. So it's not like you're gonna haha got you. You cannot pronounce. I can pronounce it. I can actually make a lot of different sounds with my a mouth because I used to do beatboxing, so I do know how to do interesting sounds. It's not like, it's just, you know, it's difficult for me to use that sound in speech. If you know what I mean. Yeah. Bit. Nah, I haven't practiced for quite some time, so. Sorry, couldn't help myself. So what I was doing, I don't remember. Yeah, we were trying to actually render the tiles. Render the tiles is gonna be too... Okay, tile to row. Right, so when you convert tile coordinates to row coordinates, row gacha coordinates, you get the top left corner, right? So, and we can denote it as a position, right? So this is a position, a position. After that, I can create some sort of a size, and size is just a vector of tile size, Cool. And once we've got that, we can probably construct a rectangle. Struct rect, yeah. So we can do rect pose size. And then I want to be able to just render such rectangle without worrying about anything. Cooking stream with beatboxing elements. Okay, so what I want to have is essentially a function fill rect that I can put a rect into it, and also, you know, provide some sort of a function like red, and it will just do that. And also fill rect should probably accept the renderer. Right, we should also accept the renderer, and there we go. So maybe because of that, I can kind of inline position and the size. I think that would be kind of cool. Position and size. Would that be nice? So it will give me like a big expression. Is it? Nah, I think it's not worth it. I don't think it makes it more readable. So yeah. Doing compiler job. Yeah. Fill rect. Okay, so this thing will accept SDL renderer. Here's the renderer, and then it also will accept a rectangle. And the thing is, I think we should be able to accept any type of the rectangle. But in case of floats, we want to be slightly different. Okay, so I'm gonna accept specifically floats. I'm gonna accept specifically floats, and also I'm gonna accept a color. Do I have a hex color? Yes, so I'm gonna accept a hex color. Like this. Cool. So here's a hex color. And how we do that? So we need to be able to convert all of that into SDL rect. So we're gonna call it SDL rect, and then we take rect position X. And what we need to do here is to essentially cast rectangle. No, we have to do floor from that rectangle. We do floor from that rectangle, and then we have to cast it to integer. And here's an interesting thing. Why can't we do something like a rect map floor and then cast to integer? Why can't we do that? So let's also implement all these functions for the rectangles as well. Right, and once we do that, we should be able to, you know, just have something like this, where I can convert Rx, actually R position X, R position Y, R size X, R size Y, right? And then I will be able to fill everything. Yeah. So let's actually implement maps for this thing as well. Let's do rect C++, Yesu, Kawaii Desu. Hello, Anabosu. What's up? What's up? Yeah, we're doing pretty epic C++ today, believe it or not. So we have a type rectangle, and we're gonna implement a map function for the rectangle. We're gonna treat rectangle as a functor in the sense of like category theory, like in Haskell. So the map will accept a function pointer that takes t and returns u, and u is a different type to which you can convert things. Alright, so and this thing will return a rect u. Right. So this is how we do that. So rectangle is just two vectors. It's just two vectors, position and size, and what we're gonna return here, we're gonna take the position and also map it with f, and we're gonna take the size and also map it with f. There we go. This kind of stuff is needed when you have a rectangle that contains float and you want to map it with florf, right? So it will apply florf function on each component and consequently on each vector in here. So we also want to be fair, cast2 is just a special case of a map, but unfortunately static cast is not really a function. Or is it a function? Who knows what is static cast? Can I take a pointer to static cast? Is that a thing you can do? Or it's just an expression? This is a very interesting question, actually. Well, if it is a function, it's probably a very much overloaded function. It should be a template, because, yeah, static cast could be like this. It could be a template, type name t, type name u, and essentially static cast tx, something like that. And it's probably not gonna fly. So we'll have to like do the cast ourselves. So template type name u, rect u, cast2, and what we do here, we just return the following thing: pose cast2 u, and size cast2 u. There we go. So now we are able to not only map the values of the rectangle, but also cast them. Hopefully. So rect. So here's the fill rect. So we take the rectangle with the floats, we florf everything, and we cast everything to integer, and then we easily convert all of that to SDL rect. So maybe it would be better to have a function that converts that to SDL rect. That'll be kind of cool. So something like this: SDL rect f, and it accepts rect int rect, and it just returns you. It essentially returns you that, right? Yeah, and then you can take these things and just do rect. So after that, you can simply do f of this entire shite. Though, it's alright. So we can call it rect for SDL. Yeah, rect for SDL. Rect for SDL. It gets our rect and returns the rectangle for the SDL. Once we've got that, we should be able to use SDL fill rect functions. SDL fill rect, SDL fill rect. Yeah, and what it does, it even accepts the... Wait, really? Wait, what SDL... Really? Oh, I didn't know that. This is so cool. Wait a fucking second, seriously? You can just do that? Oh, it uses surface. Disgusting. We need a renderer. Yeah. SDL. Render fill rect. Yeah, we need a render fill rect. And this one, yeah, it doesn't work the way I want to work. So we also have to wrap it in sec. So we have to provide the renderer, and here is my renderer, and then I can take the pointer to SDL rect. There we go. Oh my god, Emacs is very, very sluggish right now. By the way, does Visual Studio Code has Emacs bindings extension? Do we have any professional Visual Studio Code users in the chat? Does it have? Probably. Okay. Let's check it out. So, OPT VS Code. No. Sandbox. And I'm gonna open what? I'm gonna open this thing. Alright. So I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be as convenient as Emacs, but it's just unbearable. Whatever is going on... Wait, did I open everything correctly? Am I in the right place even? Yeah, I'm not in the right place, that's for sure. So let's actually close everything. Apparently I'm in a completely wrong place. And what was the name of the function? It was 3... Yeah. You already found it? Okay, thank you. But I mean, I'm gonna install it from Visual Studio Code itself, so I don't think I'm... That's pretty cool that it has that. Extensions. So let's go here and let's do Emacs. Emacs emulation. Emacs emulation for, so it has 4 stars, and let's install this shit. It's just a search, there's more than one extension. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I see that. Oh, did it install it? Okay, so I think it installed it. Alright, so how do I go? Okay, this is how I go back. Okay, it's as sluggish as Emacs though. Oh my god, it emulates Emacs so well. It is as slow as Emacs. That's beautiful. Okay, so I want to be able to just do const and okay. If I want to, okay, it even supports splitting the screen, and it supports it so bad. Oh my god, really? Holy shit! Oh my god. Okay. Okay, buddy, okay. No, X2 is actually... Really? X2 is a horizontal one, but X2 does a completely different... Does the user who implemented this extension even use Emacs? They don't even use Emacs, yes, they don't. It's horrible. And yeah, to be fair, in terms of sluggishness, it's like just like Emacs. So I don't know if I want to switch to it. Ganoven Banane, thank you so much. Thank you so much for 7 months of tier 1 subscription. Thank you, and welcome to our epic Emacs club. Alright, so whatever, I'm gonna stop doing this. Some time ago I tried to use Vim emulation, but the input latency makes it... Yeah, exactly. So the beauty of Emacs and Vim is that because... Well, I mean, not so much about Emacs, but in Vim, because the latency is so low, you can be so goddamn fucking productive. Like, holy shit, you're not productive, but efficient. That's the wrong word. Yeah, and if you have like a huge latency, it kind of like defeats the whole purpose of these key bindings, so don't use them. I'm gonna do 4 things at once, so why are we using this Visual Studio Code suddenly? Because Emacs sucks. Okay. Imaksu Sakusu. Alright, so can I do make in here? I think I can. Beautiful. And I can automatically jump to this entire shit. Beautiful. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So if I do make, so it can expected primary oh shit. Yeah, so essentially I'll have to do fucking classic, am I right? Warning unused. Okay, so it's just a warning. And yeah, we have an unused hex color. But now we also need to set how is it called? SDL set render draw color or something. Time for Gmax, maybe. What's up, old man? A center render draw color, I think. Or is it set render fill color? Set render. SDL set render fill color. What's up? What's up? Why are you suggesting me draw color? Or is it... Oh, it's probably the draw color then. Sure. So, let's go. So, I'm gonna remove that, so it's gonna be sec. It's gonna be like this. But now, I wanna actually find this entire thing and remove it. Hex. I think it was unpack hex color, and we're gonna just use this color in here. And also, we need to... So, yeah, I know how to use Vim, look at that. I'm a professional Vimer. Professional goddamn Vimer. Alright, so we have semicolon in here, and I forgot to just do that. And yeah, so we don't have a red in here, so we need to probably define that color. So background color, so here's the color, let's define hex color red, and it's gonna be just something like this. FF0000 FF. There we go. Try this extension, at least for me, there's no latency. I'm sorry, Outnaboth, I'm already over it. So I already like in the middle of implementing the thing for my game, and I don't want to lose my context. I'm really sorry. I just switched my context very quick, so it's too late. Okay, so here it is, and what's funny is that it's too huge. Why is it so huge? I have no idea. Oh, I kind of do understand what the fuck is going on. So the thing didn't work the way I wanted to work for some reason. So fill rect. So here's the fill rect, and this is where I use fill rect, and it should just work actually, but it didn't. And I wonder why. Because we probably never... do we actually update the camera? I'm so confused, like, what is going on? I'm so confused what's going on. So, camera, update DT, maybe that's what we need to do here as well. Maybe that's what we need to do, struct camera, right. And, maybe camera update. So, yeah, that's really weird. And wait. Oh, I see what's going on. Okay, that's pretty cool. Fill rect. But we don't even use camera for that, do we? Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Okay, so that's very interesting. So we need to be able to also map different kinds of structures to the camera. So to screen, rather, right, to screen. To screen, so here is to screen, and so let's define this thing like that. So this one is going to be just a rect. So this is a rect. So we're mapping this entire stuff as well to screen. Okay, so essentially we need to reconstruct the rectangle. So it's not a point, it's actually a rectangle. So it's gonna be position, and we have to do to screen. Rectangle screen, rectangle size. So now we should be able to take the rectangle and map it to the screen coordinates, hopefully. Not 100% sure if it will work as I expected, but yeah. So essentially. Okay. So now when I'm trying to render the game, right, fill rect. So I take this rectangle, and I also want to be able to take the camera and do a to screen on it. And after that, the whole thing should be red, hopefully. So if it's not red, that means I made a mistake somewhere. But now, since I'm mapping everything appropriately, yes, perfect, that's exactly what I want. Also, I need to set a logical size, SDL logical size. SDL logical size, render set logical size, that's exactly what I want. So, and it should be set to the size of the screen. Okay, so when do we set it? I guess after initial... Well, we have to provide the renderer, so that means we have to do it somewhere here. Right, so we're gonna put it here, and of course, it's gonna be like that. So width and height, how is it gonna be? So let me quickly replace a screen width. That was difficult, I don't know why, it's kind of strange. Screen width, yes, and then I can take height, there we go, cool. So then I take the renderer from the game, and also I need to wrap everything in sec, so it will check all of that stuff, alright. Cool, everything seems to be compiling. So let me try to go. Okay, so now I wanna pick a random color based on the coordinates of the rectangle, right? So we should be able to see some sort of colors going on. That's basically what I want to do. So we have X and Y, and we need to map it to one of the colors, more or less, essentially. So maybe we can have like a set of the predefined colors. But where can we get the set of such predefined colors? So palette. I want to have like some sort of a quick palette theme generator, something that I just can grab without putting too much effort into it and without clicking anything, like predefined. Why do I have to wait? It's that one. I don't want to spend time on coming up with something. I want to just have something that is already, you know, like I can just copy paste the whole thing. Yeah, something like this. Can I have more colors? Mm, so let's use this one. So can I have like a new? How to open an empty file? Okay, so I don't know how to open an empty file in Vim. I'm spending too much time on it. Alright, so we didn't copy paste the last thing like 2. Alright, so then I'm gonna add ff, then I'm gonna add 0x. So let's put the comma in here. Alright, so let me see. So now we can have these kind of colors. Hex color, colors. And let's just put everything here. So pretty cool. So we have colors, and maybe I can just pick the random colors from there. And how can I pick the random colors? Well, I can just overflow them, not overflow them, but wrap around them using modular arithmetics and whatnot. Yeah, that's probably the easiest way to go about that. So skin const, maybe even const expert. I mean, why not? Colors, size, maybe it doesn't matter really. Color size, and it's gonna be size of colors divided by size of colors 0. There we go. So, and now fill rect. So I'm filling the rect, and I just need to pick a random color from this thing. So how are we gonna do that? So essentially I'm using colors and x plus y, and I need to do a modular over colors size, and that should give me something, hopefully. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Interesting. It's doing the thing. What's funny is that logical size is completely fucked up, and I think I know why. Yeah, I think I know why. Because the window size should be the screen size, so because it now stays the same. Right, so it's gonna be window rect. Rect view, I think, so it's a rect view. How is it called? I need to go to the struct camera. Struct camera, view rect, it's called view rect, sure. Let me find it. So, and essentially, yeah, we're using window size. So let me go to the window size and re-implement it. So here it is. So, and in window size, we're gonna essentially always return screen width, right? We always return screen width, and then always return screen height. All right, and then if I try to rebuild everything, that should work. Yes. Yeah, essentially it doesn't matter. Strawberry Hacker, oh my god, thank you so much for tier 1 subscription. Thank you. Your first subscription, by the way. And welcome to our Epic Game Development Club. How about that? Welcome. Enjoy your epic Zozin emotes. So, and it will go indefinitely, so it goes through the like infinite plane or whatnot. Which is kind of interesting. Maybe we can make it move a little bit faster, right? Because somewhere here I set the camera velocity, maybe somewhere in the main, right? So where's the camera? So camera velocity, and I can probably replace 10 with 100, right? And just see what's going on. So it should go a little bit faster. Yeah, now it goes a little bit faster. So, yes. So we now have some sort of a grid, as you can see. We have some sort of a grid. And we can now define player on that grid, and that's pretty cool. So, I wonder if Vim has some sort of like a rainbow mode, so I can inspect that mode and whatnot. Or do I have to install some third-party dependencies? Vim rainbow mode. Vim awesome rainbow. I need a couple pride mode. So too much effort. Too much effort. Show me. Rainbow parentheses. Who cares about parentheses? It's not useful. Okay, so we have this kind of stuff. So maybe I probably have to define these things manually. I probably have to define them manually. Yeah. Can I have a permalink on this thing? Probably not. Alright, so it is what it is. Alright, I want to make a cup of tea. Before I continue. Does anyone have any questions, maybe? While we're making a cup of tea. Is today Emacs absence days? No, I'm still using Emacs. What are you talking about? This is Emacs. Does anyone have any other questions? Why are there so many SMS leaks lately? I don't know what you're talking about. What are we doing right now? We're testing an interesting idea that I explained at the beginning of the stream, and I don't really want to repeat the explanation. I'm really sorry, Jane. I'm trying to well, essentially, okay, I'm gonna briefly explain it. I'm trying to develop a game using a slightly different approach than usual and see if it works or not. And the game is just something quickly I can develop or something. Get different color sets and randomize the sets of colors to use at each game. Why? Does anyone have any other questions? At the beginning, wondering what happened. Yeah. If you want to implement it quickly, why not Raylib? Because Raylib imposes a very particular approach on you. And I'm checking exactly their approach. So, no. It's like, I want to learn what is the best approach for developing frameworks, and it's like, why didn't you use React for that if you want to prototype it quickly? Well, I mean, I can make in React. That's why. Alright. So... Alright, let's make a small break, by the way. So let's make a proper break. There's something weird with cell phone service lately. I don't know what exactly, but it's just really weird. Small break. 3 minutes. Alright. Let's make a small break, boys and girls, and have fun. Alright, so I'm back. Let's continue. So what I want to do now, I want to introduce the position of the player, right? Sendero Tube Worm, welcome. How are you doing? Game. So here's the game. Struct game. So vector 2, and yeah, we have this thing as a tile coordinates. So player position. So here's player position. But maybe it makes sense to like introduce an actual player. Yeah, I think it makes sense. So it's gonna be struct player, and it's gonna be tile coordinates, an actual position of the player, and then we should be able to update and render and so on and so forth. Right. So my tea is ready. I'm gonna quickly pour a cup of water and I'm back. Alright, so the player should have a render, right? And it's just that doesn't need to accept anything in my opinion. On top of that, doesn't need any updating. Maybe it does need any updating, but not for now. Essentially, how we're gonna do that? I want to have a function, something like rect of tile. So for this, yeah, this is perfect. So we have fill rect, and where do we have these conversions? Yeah, this is perfect actually. So it's gonna be rect, maybe float, or maybe just int. Yeah, or maybe float. Okay. Rect of tile. Essentially, it accepts the tile coordinates, right? And returns you a rectangle in the row coordinates that represent that. So, and we already done that, but we never extracted that to a separate function. So essentially, we did that somewhere here. So rect of tile. So let's actually put everything here. So this is position, this is a size, and we just return position and size in here. So there we go. So this is the rect of tile. And then where we fill the rect, we fill it here, and I should be able to do the following thing. Rect of tile, and the tile is x and y. Tile is x, y, and we don't have to do that thing here. Right, so then we fill rect, and then we do that, then we do that, and we just pick one particular color in here. So yeah, we have a rect of tile, and then we can essentially render all of that. So this thing will probably never be needed, but that's totally fine. Okay, so here's the rectangle, here's the player, and what we do, we take a rect of tile, which is the position, so we have a rectangle, and then we're trying to fill rect by taking the renderer from the game, right, and using the color of what? What's actually called player color, right? It's going to be player color. There we go. So rect of tile, and on top of that, we'll have to actually apply that to the camera. So it's camera to screen, right? You have to map it to the screen, and yeah. So the approach I'm trying to test. I'm trying to test the approach where a game is a global variable always, and like you can access it at any point anywhere, and I want to see if it actually scales, if this kind of approach kind of scales. And I kind of like it because this is exactly what I want to do when I'm developing games. I just want to have a global game because everything is so interconnected with each other. It's just insane. Yeah. It's absolutely insane how everything is interconnected in game. Alright. What's up, Programador Binagio? How's it going? So let's make a cup of tea. Just trying to stay focused. It's really difficult to stay focused after streaming for almost 4 hours. So here's the player, and we can render the player. That's cool. So I want to have some sort of like a checker board. So we have these two colors, right? And let me extract them to something like a background color. Right, it's going to be const hex color, background color 1, and this one is going to be background color 2. So, and we're going to use them for like a checker pattern and whatnot, and it's needed because we need some sort of like a point of reference, and soon we'll see why. Field rect. So where's another place where we do that? Okay, cool. Now, the actual color is going to be what? Hex color. X plus y divided by 2, but that could be also negative, right? So this entire thing could be also negative. So when I'm thinking, should I also take an absolute value of them? I think I should. So if I take the absolute values of these entire things and then do a mod 2, and if it's equal to 0, I have to use background color 1, otherwise I have to use background color 2. There we go. And then I can use this entire stuff without all of this, so it's going to be color. So let's see if it's going to work or not. So it's probably going to fail. Yeah, of course it fails, so I need to jump to the compilation error. Where is the compilation error? So the problem, oh yeah, I forgot to end with semicolons because it's C++. What else? What's exactly wrong in here? I don't understand. Tile to row, row to tile. Use position, everything seems to be okay. Don't understand. So could you tell me? I wish I used Emacs, because in Emacs I could at least see. Oh my god. It's just fucking worst. Like I cannot find like a good alternative to anything. Shadow the parameter. Okay, so that was shadowing the parameter. Rect of tile. Okay, so this is a tile, so this is what we're gonna call it. Okay. So I have to deal with it with the laggy Emacs, then I just have to deal with it. Okay, so that means I have to implement this entire thing after the game. Right, so let's put it somewhere here. So let's go it here. I have to implement it after, and is it gonna work now? Of course. Okay, player color. So, and what's gonna be the player color? That's a good question. It could be something yellowish. I kinda like that yellowish color. So let's quickly introduce that. So it's gonna be const hex color, and I'm gonna just grab this one, and let's go. It did work, and I'm gonna do 3 GSS. Okay, so as you can see, there is like this checker pattern. So it's really subtle, and that's the point. It's a really subtle checker pattern, and that's the point. Cool. Now, camera. Cool. So the player, when I'm rendering everything, so it would be kind of cool to actually introduce the background as a separate entity here and extract everything to like to there. I think it would be kind of cool. So let me quickly do that. It's going to be structure, background, and to be fair, background doesn't really have any state. The state of the background depends on the camera. So maybe I'm gonna just extract the drawing of the background to a separate function within the game itself. So render background, nothing special. So this is basically what it's gonna be. And yeah, I can essentially extract this entire thing to render background, right? Render background, there we go, and there we go. I never tried Emacs28. Okay, player render, cool. The sluggishness of Emacs right now is not due to rendering, by the way. There's nothing like, you know, it's super fast. It's just like C mode. Has nothing to do with rendering at all. Okay, so the camera. Where is the camera initially positioned? So maybe I need to... I'm gonna set the camera to 0. Player render. So we don't have a player though. Let me define player somewhere here. This approach is not bad. Okay, so here's the player. Here is the player. It's kind of positioned in a strange way, and I know why. Okay, so we have rect of tile, and I also want to introduce something like float center of tile. Center of tile, and it's gonna accept the coordinates here, tile. So essentially we start by converting the tile to its raw form, and then we take this thing and add half of the size. We add half of the size of it, and to add half of the size we multiply it by 5. There we go, like this. So now we have a center over the tile. So struct camera. So for the camera, I want to be able to set its a target. So it's going to be set target. It's going to be v2 float target. Let me find all of the places where we do camera. Right. And we're going to set velocity accordingly. So velocity is going to be equal to target minus position, essentially. All the time. Alright, so now I need to find the camera update. We update the camera, but before we update the camera, we also set a target for the camera as actually center of a tile where the player is positioned. So here's the position of the tile, but it's actually tile. Okay, struct player. Let's rename this thing into the tile, right? So we take player's tile, we take the center of the tile, and we set it as the target of the camera. That's what's going on here, you see? So, and let's try to run that, and of course it's not gonna work because this thing has to be tile, and soon we're gonna see something. Yeah, it's slowly moved to the center of the player, kind of, sort of. Now we need to be able to control the player. So basically, when I press up, down, left, right, I want the player to actually change its coordinates. And what's interesting, the camera is gonna follow the player. Hopefully, we'll see how it goes. So so far the approach that I'm taking here is very scalable. I'm capable of like piling shit on top of the existing pile, and it's kind of cool. So you should be just not afraid to break all of the conventions that you set yourself over the years of software development. Okay, control. So let's go to the handle event. So this is where we're gonna have SDL key down. Right here is the SDL key down, and we're gonna just look at different keys. Right, we're gonna look at different keys. Yeah, this is an experiment. Okay, so we're gonna switch on event key sim, and we're gonna have interesting things in here. So it's gonna be case SDL key W, and what that will do, it will take the player tile. So we have to go up. That means you have to add the following vector. You have to add the following thing. So up means no changes in X, and -1 in Y, right? So, and after that we can probably break all of that stuff, and let's actually do it like this. So S is gonna be that, so but it's gonna be just 1. So what about A? Actually D. D is gonna mean +1 in X, but nothing in Y. And A is gonna mean minus this. Alright, so that's pretty cool. Let's see what's gonna happen. It does not compile because Y, I think they have to be small. Yeah, they're capitalized really weirdly. Alright, so oh, the player is not a pointer. The player is not a pointer. Okay, sure. Okay, that's pretty interesting. So you can basically step by tiles, and the camera also follows you and does all this stuff. So that's pretty cool. So we can probably add more interesting stuff in there. So oh yeah, you have to be super careful because of the repeat and stuff. But yeah, so we can probably add an animation when the player goes to the right, instead of just teleporting to the next tile, it slides into the tile. If you don't mind me asking, from which country are you? Can't you hear from my accent? I'm from America, from the land of freedom, you know? Hell yeah, brother. Alright. So, what else are we gonna add? I really like that, this is so cool. I'm from England, lads. My president is Michael Jordan, by the way. Alright. So. We need to maybe add some things. Maybe some collectibles and whatnot. Or maybe some walls. Who knows? Maybe. Totally in Irish accent? Yeah, I don't know how to do Irish accent, sorry. So to top of the monitor, I'm sorry. So maybe we can introduce walls. That would be kind of cool. But how can we introduce the walls? The walls could be like generated randomly, but not really. Checks. Yeah, sure. I'm a little bit tired because I'm already streaming almost for 4 hours, but the experiment was the following. So we managed to go like 400 lines of code. I was expecting to be like from 500 to 1000, something like that. So I think we have a big enough file to for me to see that this approach is not that bad. I'm just curious if it can scale even further. So the approach was the following. Essentially, just have a huge game object that is global and
everyone can always access to that object, right? For example, you have a camera at any point can just go to the game and access its render and do something there. So yeah, and I think that's kind of cool. So, and it enables you with piling shit on top, and for at least like solo developer, it's not, you know, that bad. This for a solo developer it's not that bad, so it's kind of okay. And for a small demo in here, I think it's working quite kind of great. So yeah, this was not like a, you know, real object or project or anything. It was just a small experiment to see how easy it is to pile shit on top. So you know what, I'm gonna probably just upload that on the GitHub for anyone who's interested in this piece of code. It's a throwaway code essentially, right? It's not meant to be anything. It's just a, you know, just weird idea. So git ignore, and I'm gonna git ignore this executable, and then I'm gonna also add readme. So what we're gonna put there, 3GSS. Just a small experiment on game architecture, right? On game architecture. So the license is going to be MIT, of course, right under MIT, and the quick start is going to be the following: quick start, console, make, and then just run it. 3GSS. So yes, git init. So ready, set, go, and let's actually commit all that. So it's not going to be anything, seriously. I'm just, the only reason I'm uploading it is for people who just want to check it out or maybe learn something. So if you're judging scale in mind, the problem I see with your structure now that your entities will both contain domain logic as well as infrastructure code. This is not a problem by itself. It's not a problem by itself. It's just stating the fact. Fact is not a problem by itself. So add origin. All right. So for some people already started. Who started already? Bill Keck. Okay, sure. I don't mind. I don't complain. It's kind of funny. All right. So you can check out this thing here. This is not how you check it out, by the way. I think I copy pasted. Yeah. All right. There we go. So might as well actually provide like a screenshot. Maybe that would be kind of cool. So let me try to run this entire thing. Right. So. One more time. I want to run it one more time. So it's going to be scrot minus s. Okay. And I need to probably move this entire stuff somewhere here. So is that what I need? Yeah, this is what I need. So this is going to be thumbnail. Thumbnail. And we're going to add that thumbnail to here. Add thumbnail to readme. All right. So should be now maybe. Yeah. It doesn't do anything. Maybe I'm gonna actually play with this thing more, just to pile more shit on top of it. But so far so good. So far so good. Very cool. It's really fun. Alright. Okay, so I've been streaming for 4 hours already, and unfortunately I'm really tired, boys and girls. And it's time for me to go. Thanks everyone who's watching right now. Really appreciate it. Have a good one, and I see you. Guess when I'm gonna see you all? I'm gonna see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow, according to the schedule, we're gonna be doing a virtual machine. Yes, we're gonna continue developing our virtual machine in C. It's gonna be fun, trust me. So join tomorrow. Also, check out our schedule for more information on different projects we're working. Check out our WOTS channel for recordings of the streams. This stream is going to be there, but a little bit later, tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. And also check out our Discord server for offline discussion with the community. And I don't know, let's maybe rate somebody? We haven't rated people in a while, so do you guys have any suggestions on who to rate today? Is anyone epic streaming right now on Science and Technology section of Twitch? Cachet is game jamming. Happy Fish 00, thank you so much for Twitch Prime, thank you. Game jamming, you mean he developing a game or is he playing a game? I'm not sure. Where's Cachet? Okay, so if he's doing programming, I'm down to rate him. If he's just playing a game, I'm not interested in that, I'm sorry. Developing... Okay, cool, so let's actually rate Cachet. Cachet underscore. I think that's his name. Alright, get ready for the raid, boys and girls, and I see you all tomorrow. Love you. Mwah.